Why didn't you shave today, Buck? Why didn't you shave?
I didn't have time. I couldn't find my razor.
I didn't have time. I couldn't find my razor.
I couldn't find my
Man
fusion.
up, Beaver. Get the fusion going and get cracking on shaving. Welcome to today's Rowdy.com Big 3, where we talk NASCAR from the Rowdy Studios. This is Buck Fever.
Yes, it is Buck Fever.
And I am Bass Masters. Today's version of the Rowdy.com Big 3, since Cutler is still out of the office, is you with questions and me with answers.
Yesterday we had 3 crew chiefs talking about their 3 scenarios.
So you've got 3 quotes and 3 issues from these 3 crew chiefs.
I've got 3 crew chiefs. Here's Mike Ford on taming Denny Hamlin.
You know, Denny coming in was, a little more aggressive than what I was used to working with. I tamed him down, but he picked me up a little bit also.
All I can say is, boy, if this is a calm Denny Hamlin, I'd hate to see an aggressive Denny Hamlin.
Well, Denny Hamlin, I think, has been very cerebral throughout this chase. And, when I first heard Denny Hamlin talk about race cars, I think it was his first or second Nationwide Series race for Joe Gibbs Racing, I said to myself, this is an intelligent dude. And I think he's used his brain this year. You got to use your heart in Cup racing, but you also have to use your brain. Denny had a very clear strategy coming in, which was, I'm not going to be aggressive until 3 to go. Maybe second half of the chase, I'll try to push a little more, and he's done just that. And so I think that's a good combination, Denny and Mike Ford. It's interesting. Sometimes they seem to go at it. Sometimes they seem to disagree, but maybe that balances the 2 of them out. So Denny's got the lead going into Homestead, and I think if he's smart, he'll keep using that head of his.
Yeah, and for the last 4 years, Denny hasn't had the lead going into Homestead. Jimmy Johnson has. And Chad Canals talks about how that might actually be a problem for this year.
I think the biggest concern that I've got currently is that we haven't gone to Homestead to truly race yet. We've gone down there with a bit of a protective mindset, so I think that puts us a little bit behind compared to the other guys.
It's a good point that he's never had to race hard for an entire race here with this car on this track.
It's been a while, but I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem for Jimmy Johnson. I'm not saying he's going to win the championship, but he's going to be in the hunt, and he's going to perform well at Miami.
I think his bigger problem is the following, Buck. I don't think that team overall, Hendrick Motorsports, has the advantage on the downforce racetracks that they have had in the past. Certainly that they had last year when they finished 1, 2, 3 in the championship standings. I just think the organizational advantage isn't there. So I think that's what makes, I think, Jimmy and Chad's life harder, as opposed to, gee, we've never had to run a full race here at Miami. They'll be able to figure out to get their car about as good as their car can be. But if their car doesn't have the advantage at its best that it had last year over a car like, say, the 11 car, which won this race last year and began to turn it around on the downforce tracks, then I think that's where the problem comes in. So I think it's going to be a tall order for Jimmy Johnson to win it, but anything can happen, and he can certainly do it.
Yes, anything can happen, especially with all those teammates out there.
Teammates.
We've gone on record. We've said we don't think that Jeff Gordon's going to roll over and let Jimmy Johnson win.
That's true.
And Jeff Burton has said, hey, buddy, I'm not going to get out of the way for Kevin Harvick. However,
these guys will give up a position, won't they?
Yeah.
If you were 8 and you could finish 9th and your teammate could win the championship, wouldn't you do that? Honestly.
I have to say you would.
If you'd give up one position on the racetrack. Yeah. The question to me is, would you give up a win? Now, that, I think, is a bridge too far.
That is a bridge too far. But Gil Martin says, hey, there are little bridges and little things that teammates will actually do for the Big 3.
I think it's going to be a big factor, not meaning that I don't think anybody's going to go out and intentionally wreck anybody, but I don't think anybody's going to particularly do anybody any favors on the racetrack when it comes down to just pure racing as far as moving over and letting the guy go. I think they're going to try to impede their process as much as they can on the racetrack.
So he's saying basically, blocking the guy in the pit stall or racing him particularly hard. It's very interesting now that the team aspect of this sport has gotten to be so big, whether you're talking about information sharing leading up to the race, or letting a guy lead a lap, or giving a guy an easy pass because he's your teammate and he's a little bit faster than you. Does it extend as far as racing another guy harder than you would otherwise race him? There's this whole, I race him the way he races me, unless I'm trying to help my teammate? I mean, because doesn't that create problems for you in the future, where this guy might race you harder in the future as an individual competitor? Doesn't that create problems, Bob?
Yeah, but if you're Jeff Gordon and Denny Hamlin's behind you and Jimmy Johnson's in front of you, you're going to make it, that 24 car is going to get awfully wide.
I would think. Except deep down, do you think Jeff Gordon really wants Jimmy Johnson to bypass him with 5 championships to Jeff's 4?
Deep down, hell
Deep
no.
down?
No way.
I don't know. It's going to be an interesting championship race here, and we'll have more to say tomorrow For now, I'm Bass, he's Buck. We'll see you next time on the Rowdy.com
Big
Three.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.